Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah.
Good afternoon,
Yeah.
sir.
So, yeah, is my voice clear to you, everyone?
Yes, sir.
So, if you can see, the
Yes, sir.
topic that
Yes,
was
sir.
left from the game theory was principle of dominance and graphical method. So, I have to cover this because it is an important topic. Okay. So, I hope most of you have gone through these topics or not. Have you gone through these
Hello.
topics?
No, sir.
Yeah. Have you gone through these topics?
No, sir.
No. Okay. We'll start then. So, principle of dominance, if you try to revise or recall game theory, we have seen that we are able to determine the saddle point. Am I correct? So, what we do is, when the saddle point is, how do we determine? If you see the screen, we have tried to determine the column in green is the minimum value in each row, and the row in the red is the maximum value in each column. So we have tried to determine the row minima and column maxima. Are we correct? Okay. So when you have both equal, then you say that there is a saddle point. Okay. So, but when you have games where you do not have saddle point, even though that games will have the value of game, is it? In that case also we need to determine the strategies, what A will apply and what B will apply. Are we clear? So let's say A is the person or A is the player who is working for its profit and B is the one who is trying to minimize the loss. Am I clear? So what we do in this case is, now since in this case we do not have a saddle point, the principle of dominance is the concept that we apply. Fine. So what we do is we try to eliminate the rows and columns one at a time, okay, by applying this principle of dominance. Is it? So you see, if the game that is seen, that is shown on the screen is does not have a saddle point. Is it? So it does not have any value of game if you try to apply the pure strategies, that is the row minima and column maxima. Fine. So uh, actually this Zoom meeting was scheduled for to discuss the practicals, but I don't think you have any problem in the practical related assignments. Okay. So we are discussing the theory part that is remaining. So in this, if you see this, try to read the screen, the updated screen. Can you read the statements? One can answer. Can you read the
Yes,
statements?
yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
sir.
a row A dominates the other row B if every element in A is greater than or equal to every element in B. Is it? So if you see, A is trying to maximize the profit. Is it? So when you try to eliminate the rows, we try to select the rows which will give you maximum profit. Is it? So that row is said to be dominating. Is it? Similarly, a column X dominates other column Y. Actually, it is, I left it. Other column Y if every element in X is less than or equal to every element in Y. Is it? So what you do is, now if you try to distinguish between rows and columns, so rows is the entities which is increasing your profit. Is it? Where you are trying to maximize your profit, so you're trying to delete the rows which are dominated. Is it? Okay, and which row which dominates is retained. Similarly, the column which dominates is the one which has a value lesser than the other values in the other column. Is it? That means you are trying to minimize the loss. Am I fine with that? Okay, when you solve the problem, these statements will be clear to you. Is it? Okay. So next is, if you see, we have started with the example. The example is the same. That is one of the solved examples from the book Hiragupta we have taken. Is it? So this example says that column 1 dominates. Sorry, it is column 2. It is reverse. It is column 2 dominates column 1. It is vice versa. Is it? So it is column 2 dominates column 1. If you see, every element in column 2 is less than or equal to every element in column 1. So you can see, so we have eliminated column 1 because it is dominated by column 2. So because column 1 is giving you more loss than column 2. Is it? So column 2 is eliminated. Are you getting this point? Is it? So next one is, now if you see, column 1 is eliminated in the next matrix. Column 1 is eliminated in the next matrix. Now similarly, now you go on applying this concept of row and column. You're trying to eliminate one row and or one column at a time. Is it? And what you do is, in the first step we have eliminated a column. In the second step we are trying to eliminate the row. Now you see that row 2 dominates row 1. That means every element in row 2 is greater than or equal to the element in row 1. So you see that row 1 is eliminated. Is it? So the next figure will be the one which is deleted. So I forgot to delete that row. Okay. I forgot to delete that row. Now you see, so actually this row 1, the column 1 is deleted. This row 1 should be deleted. I forgot to delete that. So next one is, now you can see column 5 dominates, actually it is vice versa. It is column 5 dominates column 2. That means every element, exclude row 1, every element in column 5 is less than or equal to column 2. Is it? So column 2 is deleted. Am I clear with that? Okay. So you can see in the next figure, column 2 is deleted. So by mistake, I forgot to delete row 1. So that is persisting in the next slides also. So you can see now column 4, sorry, column 6 is dominated by column 5. Is it? So you can see that column 6 is deleted. Am I clear with this? One can answer. Are you getting this?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So now you can see that effectively, if a row 1 is still persisting in the subsequent slides, actually row 1 should have been deleted. I forgot to delete that. So, so in this case, next is rows 4 dominates row 5. Is it? You can see that 4 is greater than 3, minus 1 is greater than minus 2, and 2 is equal to 2. So row 4 dominates row 5. So row 5 is deleted. Fine. Similarly, now in this step, I have erased row 1. So this particular step is repeated. Is it? So row 2 dominates row 1 means 1 is greater than 0, 3 is greater than 2, and 2 is greater than 1. Fine. So here the row 1 is deleted. Actually, it should have been deleted earlier only. So ultimately what you get is a 3 by 3 matrix. Now principle of dominance, what we try to do is, now you don't have a saddle point. Is it? You cannot apply pure strategies. Pure strategies means row minima and column maxima methods for this kind of game. So you don't have any saddle point. So you apply principle of dominance. You go on reducing the game. You that is, you go on eliminating the number of rows and columns, and you try to reduce the matrix in a 2 by 2 matrix. Now here you try to find whether any row or column dominates other row or column. Do you find any? Just try to check.
Mhm.
Is it? So it is at the bottom of that matrix, below the matrix, it is written the statement, no row oblique column dominates any row oblique column. Now in this case, if you see, compare column 3 and column 4, 1 is less than 3, 7 is greater than 5. Is it? So this column 3 does not dominate column 4. Then column 4 and column 5, 3 is greater than 2, but minus 5 is less than 1. So again, this column 4 does not dominate. Column 5 and column 3, you can consider 1 is less than 2, but 7 is like greater than 1. The relation should be less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. Is it? In case of rows. Is it? Consider row now, row 2 and row 3. 7 is greater than 1, but minus 5 is less than 3. So this also does not hold. 7 is greater than 4, but minus 5 is less than minus 1. So in this case, no row or column dominates any row or column. Is it? Now how will you reduce this game to 2 by 2? Now in order to reduce this game, you have to apply a method called as average method. Is it? Now what you do is, you consider the average of any two rows or columns, and you compare that average with the remaining row or column. and then you see that whether that relation holds, that is less than equal to or greater than equal to, is it, in case of column and row. Fine. Now what we have done is we have considered the average of column 3 and column 4. So if you consider this relation, it is 1 plus 3 by 2 is equal to 2. 7 minus 5, in this case it is column 3 plus column 4 average. 7 minus 5 by 2 is equal to 1, and 4 minus 1, this one 4 minus 1 by 2 is equal to 3 by 2. Now if you consider this as an average column of 3 and 4, this 2 1 3 by 2, if you consider this, 2 is less than or equal to 2, correct, 1 is less than or equal to 2, and this 3 is less than or equal to 2. That means this average column is dominating this column 5, is it? Average of 3 and 4 is dominating this column 5. So column 5 is eliminated, is it? So column 5 is giving you more loss as compared to the average of 3 and 4, is it? So the entity that gives you more loss, these are nothing but the strategies of B, these are the strategies of A. So the strategy which gives you more loss, that B will discard, is it? So now what is left is you have a matrix which is 3 by 2, that is 1 3 7 minus 5 and 4 1. Again you check whether can you eliminate this row or column, is it, any row. Now ultimately say that there are only 2 columns, so you have to delete 1 row. So can you apply that greater than equal to relationship, is it? So 4 is less than 7, but minus 5 is less than 1. In this case 1 is less than 7, but minus 5 is less than 3, so no relation holds. So again we apply the average method, is it, in order to eliminate one of the row, is it? So if you see what we have done, we have considered the average of column 2 and column 3, sorry, row 2 and row 3. 1 plus 7 is equal to 4. 3 minus 5 by 2 is equal to minus 1. It is minus 2 by 2, it is minus 1. So if you see, row 4 is less than or equal to 4, correct? This 4 is less than, average 4 is less than 4, average minus 1 is less than or equal to minus 1. So row average of this row 3 and row 2 is greater than or equal to row 4, is it? So what you do is you eliminate row 4, is it? So the relation holds, it is greater than equal to, so relation holds, so we eliminate row 4 now. So ultimately what is left is you have a 2 by 2 matrix. So principle of dominance is basically dependent on reducing the matrix m by n into 2 cross 2 matrix, is it? So you have again applied the average method. So try to remember to apply the average method if you are not able to eliminate rows and columns by the relation, is it? So you cannot satisfy, no row or column satisfy less than equal to greater than equal to relationship, is it? So this average method is applied, and the matrix is reduced to 2 cross 2 matrix, is it? Now once you get a 2 cross 2 matrix, we have two methods to solve in order to find the value of gain. So first method is odds method, also called as a shortcut method, is it? It is an odds method. And second method is an algebraic method or an arithmetic method, is it? So these two methods we use. So in exam, if it is asked, apply odds method or an algebraic method, is it? So either of these two will be asked in the exam, is it? So you have to apply. Now this is what is shown is an odds method, is it? So what you see is a column x and row x and column y, these are called as oddments, ODDMENTS, is it? So these are called as oddments. Now we calculate these oddments. Now how do you calculate is, you see this is 7, now you determine the difference. 7 minus 5, this is this one. For this second row, you write it in as a first oddment, is it? The difference of second row is first oddment, and difference of the first row is written as a second oddment. Now in this case, whenever the value is negative, you discard the sign and you always consider that value as positive. So you can see you get a second oddment value of y as -2, but you have written it as +2, is it? Similarly, now you consider this column 2, it is 3 minus -5, is it? So that goes as oddment 1 of x, is it? 3 minus of -5, these two entities difference is 3 minus -5 is equal to 8. Similarly, these two entities column 1 go into column 2, oddment 2. So this is 1 minus 7 is -6, but since it is negative, you write it as positive. Is it? Now, once you get these oddments, these are called as oddments. 8, 6, these are oddments for Y, and so that is B, and 12 and 2, these are oddments for A. Is it? Now, what you do is you determine the probability which A will select, which of the strategy. Now, remaining, when you try to reduce, you try to keep track of the strategies which are there. In this case, row 1 is deleted, then column 1 is deleted, then column 2 is deleted. So you just see the first column and first row. We have retained the row number and the column number, the strategies we have retained. And ultimately what is left is, for B, we have two strategies called strategy 3 and strategy 4. And for A, we have left with strategy 2 and strategy 3. Am I clear? So we have calculated the oddments, oddment 1 for A. This is the difference between these two entities. That is, row 2 is written as oddment 1, and difference between row 1 entities is written as oddment 2. Is it? Now you try to determine the probability. So you can see the summation of these two, 12 plus 2 is 14. Similarly, for this also it will be the same. Is it? It is 8 plus 6 is also 14. So this is the summation of oddment X and oddments Y. Is it? So these are oddments Y, which are the oddments for A. So now, in order to determine the probability which of the strategy will be selected, so you can see the probability that strategy 2 will be selected is 12 by 14, that is equal to 6 by 7. And the probability that strategy 3 will be selected is 2 by 14, that is equal to 1 by 7. It is 1 by 7. So it is 1 has gone up. So this value is 1 by 7. Is it? Similarly, in case of B, so actually the answer is the strategy that will be selected by A, which has the highest probability, is strategy 2. Now we want to determine the strategy that is selected by B. Is it? Now let's say, now you just don't see the bottom, discard the bottom row. Is it? Don't concentrate on that row. Is it? Now if you say that, if I say row 2 is selected, the strategy 2 is selected by A, is it? What is the strategy that will be selected by B? Ignore the last row. Is it? Don't see at the last row. One of them can answer. One of you can answer. Which will be the strategy that will be selected by B? कौन सा? जल्दी, quickly. We have less time.
Three.
Which of the strategy will be selected?
Three.
Strategy 3. Why?
Because
It
it
is
has the
giving
least loss.
least
Least
value.
loss.
Yes.
Least loss.
So strategy 3 will be the least loss. Is it? So that is, you should have the reason. Is it? So if you see at the bottom, it is 4 by 7. The probability of B is 4 by 7, as compared to strategy 4, it is 3 by 7. Is it? So strategy 3 has a higher probability. So strategy 3 will be selected from the probability. But actually, if you consider these two values, strategy 3 has a lesser value as compared to strategy 4. So strategy 3 will give you less loss. B is trying to reduce the loss. As B knows that A has selected strategy 2, so B will have the option to select either 3 or 4. So when say that A has selected strategy 2, now B knows that selecting strategy 3 will give him or her the less loss. Is it? So strategy 3 will be selected by B. So you can see the probability of strategy 3 is 4 by 7, which is higher than strategy 4, which is 3 by 7. Is it? So this is how you calculate the probability or the strategies that is selected by A and B. Am I clear? Now you need to determine the value of game. Is it? So how do you determine the value of game? The value of game is, it is equal to 1. You consider any row or any column. Is it? So let's say I considered first row. Is it? So what I do is I multiply first row entity with first oddment. Is it? So in this case, 1 into 8. This is 1 into 8 plus 3 into 6. So this is, I have written 1 into 8 plus 3 into 6. First row entities into oddments. 3 into oddment 6. So that is equal to 8 plus 18 equal to 26 by 14. Is it? So answer in this case is 13 by 7. Similarly, you take any row. Now in this case, what I have done is, in order to make the point clear, I have considered this value. Is it this column 2? So this will be 3 into 12. This is the augment of y. So 3 into 12 plus minus 5 into 2. So that what it gives you is 3 into 12 is 36 minus 10. It is equal to 26 by 14. So you can take randomly any row or any column. Out of these four options, you can take any value. You will get the value of game as same. That is equal to 13 by 7. Is it? So ultimately, what are we trying to derive is the strategies that are taken by A. So in this case, the strategy taken by A is strategy 2, and what is the strategy taken by B is selected by B is strategy 3. Is it? And the value of game, that is the answer, final answer of your principle of dominance is 13 by 7. Is it fine? Am I clear? So this is called as an
Yes,
odds
sir.
method. Is it? So next is, I have considered this already reduced matrix. I'm not trying to do it again. So whatever is the reduced matrix, this is the reduced matrix what we have got from the principle of dominance. Is it? Now we are discussing the second method called as an algebraic method, also called as an arithmetic method. Odds method is also called as a shortcut method. Is it? So algebraic method, so I consider only this. Is it? These four values. Is it? Now what you do is, let's say I name this as A11, this is A12, this is A21, is A22. So these are the names that are given to these four cells. Is it? Now, in order to determine what is the strategy of A, the formula is given as A22 in minus A21. So this is strategy of A. A22 minus A21 divided by A22 plus A11. Is it? A22 plus A11, this row I'm reading it, minus A12 plus A21. So if you see, I've solved it in the next line. So A22 is minus 5, minus A21 is 7. Is it? So minus 5 minus 7, is it? This will be answer minus 12. So this is minus 12, and the denominator is A21, A22 is minus 5, and A11 is 1. So this is your A11 minus A21, A12 plus A21. So it is A21 plus A12. It is 7 plus 3 is 10. So this will be minus 4 plus minus 10 is equal to minus 14. So this is minus 12 by minus 14, that is equal to 6 by 7. That is the same that we got in the previous odds method. Is it? So this is the answer you get as a strategy of A. Is it? Similarly, in order to derive the strategy of B, is it? So what you have is, you simply need to replace this A21 by A12. Fine. So what you have is A22, and denominator will be the same for all cases. In case of value of game also, the denominator is A22 plus A11 minus A12 plus A21. That denominator is static in all the three cases: strategy for A, strategy for B, and value of game. Is it? What changes is only the numerator. In strategy of A, the numerator is A22 minus A21. In strategy of B, the numerator is A22 minus A12. Is it? So in this case, now you simply put the value of A22 is minus 5 minus 3. So this answer will be, the denominator is minus 14. Since it is static, it remains minus 14. Is it? So minus 5 minus 3. So that is minus 8 by minus 14 is 4 by 7. If you see the previous slide, odds method, so that is what you get is 4 by 7. So it is same as the previous slide. Clear? Okay. And ultimately the formula to find out the value of game. So these are the three things that you need to find. Is it? Whenever you try to solve the game, these are the three things that are required. What a strategy A will be applied, what strategy B is applying, and what will be the value of game. Is it? So ultimately the value of game, the formula is A22 into A11. So this is minus 5 into 1 minus A12 into A21. A12 is 3 into 7. Is it? So, and the denominator is same, that remains as minus 14. Is it? So what you get is minus 5 into 1 is minus 5, minus 7 into 3 is minus 21. So that is minus 26 by minus 14. The value of game is 13 by 7. So ultimately what you get is 13 by 7. That is, if you compare both the methods, odds method and algebraic method, the value is same, is it, for the given game. So you will be asked to use any of these two methods in order to solve that, is it. Ultimately, you have to solve the principle of dominance, is it. This is the principle of dominance when you have an n cross m matrix. So here, if the game does not have a saddle point, is it, so principle of dominance is applied. Now let's say if game has a saddle point, still we can apply principle of dominance. But ultimately what it will do is, you will not get 2 by 2 matrix. Ultimately it will be reduced to a single row or a single column, is it. So out of that, so single row or single column means you will get a fixed strategy for A or B, is it. So whatever remains, a row or a column remains, so you can select a strategy for B. If a row remains, so the strategy for B is to be selected, which gives you the minimum value. And if the column remains, then the strategy for A is to be selected, which gives you a maximum value, is it. So in that case, you can easily get the value of game. So if a saddle point exists, so in that case, you will not get a 2 by 2 matrix. You will get either a row or a column. But if a saddle point does not exist, as in this game, so here the saddle point does not exist, is it. The values are different for row minima and column maxima, is it. So there is no saddle point. So in this case, you'll try to reduce this game into a 2 by 2 matrix. So in this way, this is a 2 by 2 matrix we have reduced, and we have applied odds method or algebraic method, is it. Now here also you have, in between, you are applied the average method if the relation does not satisfy, no row or column is greater than equal to or less than equal to the other row or column, is it. So you need to apply the average method. So you, in all, you have principle of dominance. Within that principle of dominance, you have average method, and again you have either odd method or an algebraic method. So in order to solve a single problem, you have to remember three different algorithms. Fine. So this is the algebraic method or odds method to solve the principle of dominance. So do you remember this now? We require this algebraic method or odds method in order to solve the next problem. So are we clear with principle of dominance? So we'll revise. I'll share this recording to you, so you can revise it later on. Okay. So the next method that we are starting with, the graphical method, is it. Now this graphical method is applicable when you have a game of this form. Either it is 2 cross n. So this, what you see on the screen, is a 2 cross n game, is it. And remaining is m cross 2 game, is it. Either it should be a 2 cross n or m cross 2, is it. Fine. Am I clear with this? So what you do is, let's say if there is an m cross n game is given, what you will do? Hello. Hello, Sasha. Nimisha, bolo.
Yes.
Hmm.
So you'll try to reduce it by the principle of dominance.
Correct. Hmm.
And then
So
you'll try to get it into a 2 cross 2 form.
correct. So no, not 2 cross 2 form. Here you will try to bring the game into 2 cross n or m cross 2. Is it?
Okay.
Ultimately you require 2 cross 2 only. But before that, in order to solve with a graphical method, you require a game in this form, 2 cross n or m cross 2. And then you reduce this game into 2 cross 2 by applying a graphical method. Is it? So if you have been asked to solve in the exam an m cross n method, is it. So we are running out of the time. So I'll just explain it quickly. So what you do is the graphical method. So you have 2 cross n and 2 cross m. So this game is already said as 2 cross n game, or it can be a 2 cross m also. So one of the example I've taken. So you try to see that none of the values, none of the column can be deleted. Is it? No entities in the column is greater than or equal to the other entity. Is it? Or less than or equal to other entity. So you cannot delete columns, is it. So this is the ultimate metrics that you get, is it. Now what you do is, so we have calculated the probability. Now let's say I consider the probability of selecting strategy 1 as p. So since you have the only two strategies, so the probability of this will be 1 minus p, is it. So what you do in the graphical method is, you try to draw two parallel lines, one for p and one for 1 minus p, is it. So if you see this, is it? So if I have drawn this graph, is it? So you see that one first was minus 5, 8. So this is the line for P and this is the line for 1 minus P. Is it? This is minus 5 plus 8. So this is the first line I have drawn, minus 5 plus 8. Is it? So this is for P and this is minus P. The next is my plus 5 minus 4. This is plus 5 and minus 4. I have corrected this. Is it? Are you getting this part? One can answer. Nimisha, batao.
Yes, sir.
So next one is, the next line is 0 minus 1, minus 1 and 6. So this is 0 minus 1 P and minus 1 minus P is minus 1. And minus 1 is P
6.
and 6. And last one remaining is 8 and minus 5.
Minus 5.
8 and minus 5. Is it? So last one remaining is 8 minus 5. So we have plotted this. Is it? Now we have exactly two strategies for B, for A, but you have n number of strategies for B. So we have to solve it for B in order to reduce it to 2 cross 2. Is it? We have exactly 2 rows for A, but you have 5 columns for B. So we have to solve it for B. So when it is for B, you have to select the lower portion. When you're solving it for A, you have to select the upper portion. Is it? When it is m cross 2, you have to select an upper portion and you have to select the lowest point. So this point is called as a minimax. So when you're solving it for A, but now in this case we are solving it for B, so you have to select the lower portion and you select the highest value. Is it? The uppermost point in this portion. So the points that are intersecting is this, and this. Is it? And the uppermost point is this. So this point is called as a maximum point. Is it? Now you try to determine the two lines. Is it? You try to determine the two lines which are the intersection of these, which this point is an intersection of which lines. Is it? This is an intersection of minus 5 and 8. So this is 1, this is minus 5 and 8. You write it for P and 1 minus P. And this is 0. The second is 0 and minus 1. So this is P, 1 minus P. So row 1 is for P and row 2 is for 1 minus P. Is it? So 0 minus 1. So 0 is this and minus 1 is this. And second one, this is intersection minus 5 and 8. So this is minus 5 is for P and 8 is for 1 minus P. So ultimately you get a 2 by 2 matrix. That is an now you can use either of these two methods, odds method or algebraic method, to find out what the strategy and the value of gain. So strategy, you can see the probability, it is 9 by 5. 9 and 5 is 14. Here also it is 13 plus 1 is 14. So probability is 9 by 14 for 1 and 5 by 14. So strategy 1 is applicable for A. And similarly, when strategy 1 is used by A, is it? So what you do in this case is it is 13 by 14 for B and 1 by 14. So the probability that B selects is this one. Is it? 13 by 14. Now you try to determine the value of gain. Is it? By odds method. Now just write down this matrix first quickly. Write down the matrix, 4 entities. And similarly probabilities also. Quickly, everyone. You have the notebook? आदर्श नोटबुक है क्या? आदर्श सुन रहा है कि नहीं सुन रहा है?
हाँ सर है.
हाँ लिख जल्दी से. The time is about to over quickly, and I'll show you the formula. Give me the value of gain. So this is an algebraic method. Write down the formula for the algebraic method. This formula. This is for the value of gain. From here A22 to this value. From here to here. This is the value of gain. In algebraic method. In odds method, with both method you try to do it. So we have tried to solve it by an odds method. So this is an odds method we have solved. The strategy is given. In this case, you are trying to solve it by algebraic method. Determine the strategy for A, determine the strategy for B using algebraic method. Is it? So this is the formulas. Write down the formulas for A, formula for B, strategy for B, and value of game. Yeah. So Rutuja आएगा? Rutuja, are you there?
Yes, sir.
हाँ.
Yes, sir.
कोई डाउट है असाइनमेंट्स में?
नहीं सर.
प्रैक्टिकल असाइनमेंट्स में?
Everything is done. No, sir.
जो इसके असाइनमेंट्स मिले थे क्यूइंग मॉडल्स के उसके?
हाँ सर, इसमें लास्ट के 2 इसमें डाउट सर.
हाँ, तो we'll see the
Question
theory lecture
7 और 8.
tomorrow. We'll start with theory lecture on queuing model tomorrow.
Right, sir.
Right.
ठीक है. So I hope this part is clear. Principle of dominance and algebraic method. So try to
Yes, sir.
concentrate. Only 4 or 5 methods are there in game theory. So you can expect. So I'll not tell anything on this because it is being recorded. So try to solve it, or I'll give you the this thing. Practice problems. I'll mail you and try to solve it. ठीक है, चलेगा ना? Are you burdened? अभिषेक.
सर
हाँ, बर्डन आहे का? वेळ मिळतोय तुम्हाला?
मिळतोय सर.
मिळतोय ना? मग 8-10 पाठवतो प्रॉब्लेम्स.
Yes, sir.
येस
हाँ?
सर.
ठीक है. So everything is clear, I think, from principle of dominance and graphical method.
येस सर.
Yes, sir.
So why only 40 to 67 students are there in our class? Only 42 have logged in. बीच में 3 छोड़ के गए थे, वापस ज्वाइन हुए. ठीक है. So I hope everything is clear. So I'll stop recording. We'll stop sharing.
Yes, sir.
Any doubt?
Yes, sir.
Anyone you have? If you have doubt, you can ask quickly.
No, sir.
Huh? You can. Hello. बोलो, जल्दी बोलो. किसी को कोई डाउट है अभी आज के सेशन में?
No,
Fine.
sir.
No, sir.
Yeah.
No,
So,
sir.
okay. Bye. I'm stopping the recording, so you can leave the meeting. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.